Good Monday morning. Mark Conlock, Director of Horticulture here at Green Bay Botanical Garden, and I'm actually amongst a bonanza of plants at our TasteBud auction site. We're setting everything up, and I'll introduce you to Lindsay Hendricks, Horticulture Manager, who helped get all these plants organized, and she can talk to us about some of her favorites. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that I saw here as I was perusing the merchandise. So we've been talking a lot on Mondays with Mark about sustainability and native plants. And one of the things we have at TasteBud here is like instantaneous pollinator gardens from Stone Silo. They're a great, generous donor to Green Bay Botanical Garden, and you can kind of get some ideas on how you could create a little pollinator garden, add a little natural habitat to your yard here at some of the items at the TasteBud auction. Now, not everybody has a huge space in their garden, and one of the great things about gardening is kind of taking a look at your garden in the springtime as it starts to grow and seeing what's doing good, what's changed, what's died, maybe where you have a little hole you want to put a plant. So there's some really neat collections of perennials, shrubs, even some random trees that you can add to your yard. And for example, here's a bunch of cool hostas, some heucherella, like a little shade collection where you could say, okay, well, I have a few holes in my yard and I want to add some stuff and take a look at some of these. I really like this one hosta here called Snake Eyes. Makes me think of rolling those ones on the dice. Another really great thing to think about for gardening is edibles. So right here we have this Bloody Mary garden, and there's a couple other collection of herbs throughout the auction. And it's a really great way to grow your own food, to know where it's coming from, to have more control over what you're putting on it. You know, what are you using to control insects? What are you using to fertilize it? If you want to be more organic, if you want to know where your food comes from, why not try to grow some of your own by taking a look at the ideas and things that we have here at TasteBud. We also have a whole bunch of these conifers here. Meisner Landscape is a very generous donor to Green Bay Botanical Garden, and they love dwarf conifers and the hostas and some of the shade collections that we have here. And they have some really unique, neat plants, so make sure that you check all those things out. You can come here to the garden actually for free Tuesday through Thursday to come into this room and take a look at all this different merchandise in person. And also, of course, check out our website, gbbg.org, and look up the TasteBud site to see how to register to bid on everything virtually, and when everything closes. Friday is the pickup day when you would come and get all your merchandise. But if you want to look at it in person, you can do that for free here. Also wanted to show you one last thing before I bring Lindsay in here, is there's a lot of great items from Schrader's Flowers. They're such generous donors to Green Bay Botanical Garden. They have all these beautiful containers of annuals that they donated to us, some perennials, some shrubs. And one thing I like about this, I call it like instascaping, where you just like have, boom, you just set this container out, maybe frame your doorway, maybe frame a different part of your garden, a pathway or something like that, and all of a sudden, boom, you just have like this instant garden that you can put out there. So those are really great. The other thing I wanted to mention quick is we talked last time about the temperatures, and now things are going to be pretty cool the next couple of nights, almost around freezing, but luckily you wouldn't pick all these things up till Friday, and it's supposed to be in the 40s at night then, so you can kind of take a look at the plants in your collections. But luckily, we'll be able to put a lot of that stuff outside at that time. So we're kind of holding it here for you, making sure that it's good to go, and then it'll be ready for you on Friday when you come pick it up. So I'm going to go find Lindsay here because she is the woman behind setting a lot of this stuff up, as well as I lean over here. But Lindsay kind of knows the plant side of things, and I want her to show us a couple of the really unique, interesting things that she found that were donated to us for the auction.
Horticulture Manager at Green Bay Botanical Garden. So we have a lot of really awesome plants that Mark kind of talked about in our auction this year, but I'll kind of point out some of the really unique ones or really cool ones that I saw that you guys are going to want to snatch up. They might not be the easiest things to find in the store. So these two hanging baskets right here from Schrader's are another one of our very, very generous donors. These petunias, they weren't labeled which cultivar they are, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the new Night Sky series petunias. So these ones are really cool because they have the white speckled flowers. So these are annual hanging basket pair. Like Mark said, it's instant decorating. You can hang these up on both sides of your patio. You got two really awesome pots to hang on your porch. So that's a really cool annual that we have. Right here we have a little magnolia, Ballerina magnolia, and what's really cool about this guy is it's a propagation of one of our specimen trees that we have at the garden. So this is literally having a piece of the botanical garden in your own yard. So this one has really pretty white star-shaped flowers that bloom early in the year. This specimen was taken from the one up by the Upper Rose Garden, and it's a really beautiful plant by our donor trellis. So a literal piece of the botanic garden in your own yard. And then if you want to kind of come around this table, you can see some of the things. This is Ashley and Alyssa kind of helping organize our auction. Mark kind of stole my thunder. I wanted to talk about our little edible grow your own gardens that we have that are a really hot item. We have a Bloody Mary garden, a salsa garden, and then this is a cocktail garden that Alyssa put together. So these are all herbs that you can use in herbal cocktails or mocktails, however you want to make your drinks.
And just to step in a second, here's like a collection of herbs where you can plant them in your own planter or your own garden or throughout, or even put on a windowsill and kind of nibble as you are doing your cooking.
Yep. So we like to have options of people that don't have a lot of space to do container gardening, but also for people who do have gardens, you know, that they can plant in the ground. So we like to have a variety of different types of collections for everyone.
And this is a really awesome collection. We showed the sun perennial natives, but here is a shade perennial native collection that sometimes can be challenging to find for sale. So we have some right here at the auction.
And one last really awesome, super cool plant that you guys want to know about right here, this Hosta. Looks like just a plain green Hosta with some yellow veins on it. This one is called Mito no Hana. Pardon my Japanese, but this cultivar here is very hard to propagate to keep the variegation in it. If they try to do it in a lab where they do tissue propagation, it just turns green. So the only way to keep this plant propagated and growing with the yellow veins is to actually divide the plant. So this plant comes from Greg Meisner's yard. He's been giving us donations of the same plant for probably the past 5 years or so. So very hard to come by this plant right here. So this is very rare and unique specimen for the Hosta aficionado.
And we also have this funky display here from Deb Freeman, one of our volunteers, a more avant-garde planting of cacti and succulents. And the other thing I want to mention is there are a lot of other non-plant items, some trips, some getaways. I think there's some tickets to the Garden of Lights. So if you're not a gardener, I mean, you should be, of course, but there are other items that you can look at. And the last thing I wanted to point out is we do have some tropical interior plants over here that we, are getting out of our collection here. So if you're interested in having a plant that you can grow year-round in your home, take a look as well. So for more information, check out our website, gbbg.org. for the TasteBud auction information. And one last thing is that it is free admission today, May 10th, for Go Public Gardens Days. And it is the peak bloom of our spring bloomers. So get out here to Green Bay Botanical Garden and see everything at their peak. Of course, as they come down from the peak, they're still going to look gorgeous for quite a long time, a number of weeks longer. But come on out here to visit us for free today on May 10th.